This is a video about the batch process to load ACCUPLACER test scores into IMB Banner. The benefits of using the batch process is it's a huge time saver. Instead of requiring end users to go to Seartest and manually enter the test scores one student at a time, you can extract a file from ACCUPLACER, place that file on the Banner server, and then run 3 processes within Banner to get those loaded and one to review any suspended records and get those matched. So it is a huge time saver. The other benefit is it'll load all test scores taken for that student. So if the student takes multiple ACCUPLACER test scores for the same test code within the same month, this process will load them all. There's 5 steps to doing it. Step 1 is to retrieve the file from ACCUPLACER website. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate this for you because I'm not going to be the person extracting the files. And there's multiple ways to extract a file from ACCUPLACER. ACCUPLACER actually did multiple WebExes on how to do this. And I know that all of y'all have at least one person from your college attended. They also have their own workbook that they provide you all on how to access your test scores. You can actually go onto their website and extract your files when you want it, or you can configure the ACCUPLACER site with your username and password to automatically download your test scores to your computer on a daily basis at a specific time when you set it. So you can choose multiple ways to get that file of test scores. Once you have that file of test scores, you're going to name it with a certain convention, then you're going to place it on the Banner server. Then you would run the Banner processes to load it. You would run SRT load, SRR SRIN, then you would resolve any suspended records, and then you'd run SRR PREL. Now, if you're looking at 100 test scores that you need to get loaded, let's say you have 100 students and you need to load all of their test scores, which that's 100 by at least 3, because they probably took the reading, English, and math, if not more. This process can do this within minutes, where if you have an end user manually entering them, it could take hours for them to do it, if not multiple days. So this definitely is a time saver. Now, I'm going to start showing you from step 2 to 5 on how to do this within Banner. You're going to have to go to the Banner server. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate how to go onto the Banner server or how to understand the Banner server. There's a separate video created just to help y'all with this. So if you need help with this, go to those videos. If you have questions, open the Enterprise Help Desk ticket. When you get your ACCUPLACER test scores, somehow they're going to get onto your computer. Wherever you decide to place them, that's where they're going to be. They're going to have an ACCUPLACER name. I don't know what name they're going to have. It may just be the date that the file was extracted. You're going to change that file to your college alpha followed by accu.txt because it's a delimited file. And you need to keep it as a delimited file because the process was created to load it as a delimited file. So you're going to rename it FACCU because it's already going to be a .text. Case is important. So if I have it as all uppercase here, that's what you have to have. Now, what is your college's alpha? Here's a list of the college alphas. Every college, when Banner was implemented, was given an alpha. So BRCC is B, BIPC is C, CATC is D, CINLA is E, Delgado is F, Delta is J, Fletcher's G, North Shore is L, Nunez is N, Northwest is M, RPCC is O, South Central is P, SLCC is Q, and Cielo is R. So you may want to write down your college alpha. Once you've renamed it, you simply click on it in your documents and you drag it over to the Banner server side. And you let go. Now the first time it's going to just copy over. Any other time when you're trying to load your file, I'm going to show you what's going to happen. So I click it and I drag it over. And it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite the file that's already there. I'm always going to say yes. Now, once your file is placed on the server, you're ready to run the Banner processes. So the first process you're going to run is called SRTLOAD, short load. You're going to perform an X block twice, and then you're going to enter in your parameters. Now, the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to put in your file location, and I did forget to mention that. When you're placing your file here, you have to be in this folder. UO3/prod/your college. So I'm using Delgado for my demo, so I have Delgado at the end. If you're running it for Nunez, you would have Nunez at the end. If you're running it for Cenla, you would have Cenla, CENLA at the end. So you would have your college acronym at the end. The file location needs to be exact. So when you're running SRT load, the first parameter, you're putting the file location, UO3/prod/DCC/ and then you put the file name. Now, remember, /UO3/prod/DCC/ your file name, faccu.text. In parameter number 2, you put ACCU. Parameter number 3, you put your college alpha, followed by ACCU. Parameter number 6, you're going to put the term in which you want to load this person as a prospect. So if the student took the test in February 26, and you know they wouldn't be a prospect until your 2016-20 term, then you put there wouldn't be a prospect except for your 2017-10, you would put 2017-10 here. 5 is going to be G, make sure that always stays G. 7 is going to be UG. You're then going to scroll down to parameter number 12 is going to be TST. Parameter number 13 is going to be A00010. Then parameter number 14, 15, and 17 is telling Banner how to load their mailing address if they have one, what's the source code if they have one, and then how to load their email address is what type. So we put the address is MA, the source code is self, and the email is PERS for personal. Now, the address is not required to load the data, but we're telling Banner if the data is there, this is how we want you to load it with these type codes. Number 8 would be no. And so then 18 would be no. Number 20 and 21 is going to be yes, and case is important. And then number 22 is A if you just want to run an audit, which doesn't do anything but give you a printout of what's going to happen. And then U if you actually want to update it and run it into Banner. I'm going to perform a next block. Now once you enter your parameters the first time, you can save parameter set, so they'll always be there. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then you hit save, and now the process is loading those into Banner. Now to see when the process is done, you would go to Options, Review Output, double click next to the file name, and then double click on the .list file. And then it's going to show you the prospects that could be loaded. Now notice here it says error, invalid data, missing address information. Remember, this is not an error that will prevent the process from loading the data. It's just telling you for this particular prospect the address is missing. You may want to change the process and make sure the address is a required item when they're taking the ACCUPLACER. If you want to make sure you always have a mailing address. If you don't need a mailing address for the student, because y'all do all y'all recruiting through email, then you don't need to worry about that. But I want to make sure you understand that this is not really an error. The file is still going to load the scores into Banner. It's just telling you that mailing address is missing. Once you run SRT load, you would hit the X in the upper right-hand corner right here. Now, I could X out again to go completely out of the form, but since the next job I'm running is actually another job in Banner, I'm just going to type that right here, SRR-SRN, and I'm going to perform the next block twice, and it's going to bring me into the job. For parameter number 1, you're going to enter ACCU. Parameter number 2, you're going to enter your college alpha, followed by ACCU. Parameter number 3, you're going to put U for update, because we actually want to load these test scores. If you just wanted to run it in audit, you would put it as A. Parameter number 4, you're going to leave as no. You're going to perform the next block, and you're going to save. Once again, to make sure this process is done, you're going to go to Options, Review Output, double-click next to the file name, and then you're going to double-click on the .list file. Now, the next thing you do is you're looking for suspended records, but I only have one test student, and I don't have any suspended. But I'm just going to show you what the form looks like. So you go to SRR, SRIPREL. And I'm going to actually type in my take code, which is my college alpha followed by ACCU. And then normally I would change this match status to suspended because I only want to see my suspended records. And then I would execute the query. Now, I don't have any suspended records for this one, so I'm going to come up with nothing. But you may have the same thing. You may run the process and not have any suspended, so there's nothing you need to resolve, which is great. That's a huge time saver. They all matched up because the Social Security number and birthdays matched, so it matched up the data for you without you having to do anything. To go ahead and just take a look at the file, though, in the one student I have, I'm going to just type in the tape load again, and I'm going to execute the query, and you're going to see my one student came in. But it says match, so the student was matched, so I didn't have to do anything as far as resolving records. If you have suspended records and you have to resolve them, you would then go to the last process, which is SRRPREL, and this process then pushes in all those test scores for any of the ones that were suspended, and you have to manually match them. You perform the next block twice. For the prospect code, you put in ACCU. For number 2, you put in your file, which was your college alpha ACCU. Number 3, you put A, and then you perform the next block and you save. And that's going to resolve any of the suspended records that you have. I mean, that's going to push in any of the ones that were suspended, and you resolve them. Now, that's the complete batch process for loading the test scores. Now I'm just going to show you how the test scores were loaded. So if you go to SOA test, and this is where people would normally go in to manually enter them, and you perform the next block, you'll see the ACCUPLACER scores are loaded right here, APO1, APO2, APO3, and APO5. So the students' test scores were loaded. So but it took me 12 minutes to do this particular demo for you, which was completely moving it to the thing, and then I was doing a lot of talking and demoing while I was doing it. If you would manually do this, it would probably take you 12 minutes to load just this one student's test scores, and then you may accidentally load them incorrectly because you may fat key, and instead of putting a 33, you may put an 83, which is not the accurate test score. So the most effective way is to load them straight off the file, because Banner's going to take exactly what's in the file and put it here on SOA test for you. So this is a huge time saver. So you may want to start using this process when you start loading test scores into Banner or the ACCUPLACER. There's already a batch process for ACT and Compass. There's a separate video for those. I know we're not going to use Compass anymore, but there's the ACT. You can also review that video. It's the same process. You're just using different file names and different locations.